we have discussed the concept of production possibility frontier. The brief idea was that it gives us a boundary of different possibilities of two outputs that a business that a firm or a country can produce using all available resources and technology. So, based upon the available resources and technology, they have to produce two products because and how many products that they can produce using maximum utilization, that will give us them the boundary. So why we are taking two products, we have already discussed earlier that since we have to draw a graph which can show two products at most, so we assume that we are producing only two goods, but in real life there are many goods that can be produced. Okay, so this way we defined it earlier. So let me draw the example here again. So this side I will draw the y-axis and then the x-axis. And then we have drawn the curve. So this was the topic that we discussed. It's a boundary where there are two goods. First is x-axis commodity on the x-axis, let we call it butter, and on the y-axis we call it gun. So this was the idea. So the resources that we have is the resources include labor, capital, land, organization. So all we use it. So we have four types of resources: labor resource, land, capital goods, and organization or manager. So we have these four types of inputs that we have. Since we don't have infinite inputs, so after a certain point, so since we do not have infinite inputs, so after a certain level of production of butter and gun, we will exhaust all resources, and if we want to increase gun or butter be beyond this point, then we have to reduce the other production first because of scarcity. So let me hand it first. So since the resources are scarce, so at for these two products, we will start with producing both. But after a certain point, a point will come where if we want to increase the gun or butter, we have to increase we have to decrease the other. So that way we can uh, increase the thing that we want to. Otherwise, it's not possible to increase both. So we have to manage. So this is the concept that is come under scarcity. So now we go towards the point that we are discussing today. So here the same background is discussed. So consider there are two types of products. One is wheat and other is computers. So in a coming example, we have taken first type as a food products, so wheat, and other is technical goods or machinery or capital goods, that is computers. So we have taken two goods that are totally different from each other. The idea behind is that since they are different, so it takes different skills to it requires skills to produce these things. And since the skills are different, so we have to manage those things. So we will discuss that. So for wheat, we have farmers as labor, and for computer, we have computer engineers. So there are two types of labor now. There is a farmer as a labor, and there are engineers. So a nation has two types of labor available. Here, these resources are specialized, means the farmers do not know how to make computers and engineers do not know how to grow wheat. Means that both of the resources are specifically designed, or they learn their skills from for a specific field. They do not know the other aspect of the product. So and we assume that the number of farmers and the engineers are equal. So let's assume that half of the country is farmer and half of the country is engineer. So it means in a broader perspective, let's assume that half of the country knows how to grow food and half of the country knows how to make capital goods. So they are good in their field. So farmers are good in farming and engineers are good in computer making, but it will take time to learn the other field. So since they might have to work in the other factory, so means engineer might have to work in the farm and the farmer might have to work in computer engineering. So they will learn by practice. So this is the background. So let's move to the next slide and see what does it implicate in terms of diagram. So this is the point. So here you can see that, let's assume that in the first point in the set one, we have forced everyone to, let's write it here. So yes, in set one, we use all the resources to grow wheat. So all the resources, all the labor, include farmer and engineers, are used to grow wheat. So what happens that we have in set one, so I will write it here. So this is set one here. So all the resources are used to grow wheat. So we have this much wheat. And second set is we use half of the resource to produce wheat and half of the resource to build computer. So this is set two. So in set two, the farmers are in the field and the engineers are in the factory to produce computers. Okay, and in the set three, all of the resources are used to build computers. So set three is here. So this way we draw the line. So in the previous session, one of the student asked a question that why the PPF is bent forward. So let's assume that it is a straight line. So now we'll compare that the bending and the straight line thing. So in this graph, what you can see is I will do the calculation here, so that you can understand why it is bent forward. So let's start with that country is. Let's assume that the country is on case 2. Okay, so it's on case 1 and they are now moving to case 2. So what will happen? So they are now deciding to move the labor from farming to computer making. So as a common sense, if they are moving the labor from farming to computer making, which labor they will move first? So the idea is that they will move the labor which are good in computer making, means they will move the computer engineers first. So next point is, so since the computer engineers are good in computer making, as compared to wheat growing, so it means when they will be shifted, they their performance will increase. What does it mean by that? So, since they do not know how to grow wheat, so when they were producing wheat, they were not good as compared to the farmer. So, as compared to farmer, they were not expert. So, they were forced to do farming. Means country do not have resources or scale infrastructure to build computers. So, the farmer engineers were forced to do farming. So, what happened? That they learned farming over the time, but they were not as good as farmers. So overall product was 100 in, and when everyone was, so I will start writing here. So in point, in case, in set 1, when everyone was farming, they produced 100 units, which include engineers who are not good farmers. So while in set 2, when engineers were shifted to computer making, they are now producing more goods. So what will happen? The total output will be more than what we were getting in case 1. So this is because, first of all, the engineers were not good farmers. So they were very slow producers. They were not efficient producers. First, secondly, the farmers were helping them to learn. So farmers were wasting some time. So their resources are being used to help the engineers to learn farming. So that's why the total output was 100. When the engineers move to computer making, so they are in the field where they are expert. So they are producing more, and the farmers are now also not being interrupted or disturbed. So they are good in their will. So this, the output is 60. So the gain is how much? 60 computers. The loss or the opportunity cost is 40 wheat. So here, since the labor has moved from bad to good, so the gain is more than the cost. So and why it is happening? So let me conclude it, then I will take questions. So why it is happening? Because not everyone in the labor force have similar skills, and not every good good produced in the economy require same skills. So each good requires different skills, and there are people in the economy that have different skills. So not everyone can be moved to same factory. So it means when you produce in the middle where everyone is working in the field where they are good at, so the country will produce more. And so it means, let me draw one line here. So the distance between the straight line and the bended point is actually explaining what? So it is explaining the, so the degree degree by which wheat and computer have differences. Wheat and computer are different. So the more the goods are different, more outward. Suppose we compare wheat with F16, so it will be bended outward. So, but if we compare wheat with rice, it might not be bended outward very much. So, this way, the bended outward is explained in a few things. First of all, the where labor have some specialization, and the difference is explaining the bending outward. Now we will discuss and summarize it. Why it was bent outward? It was bent outward because all the resources do not have same kind of ability. The labor that we have in the country are not equal in their intellect, so they will perform better in their own field. For example, some are good in wheat and some are good in making computers, or some are good in making food products and some are good in making wheat products. Goods means computer. So forcing resource to work in other field like farmer to make computer or engineer to grow wheat will take time. Grow wheat. In this case, they will take time to learn. Means when you force them, so they need to earn, so they are they have to work because we are forcing them. So what they will do is they will learn the new process, hence the process. Okay, since engineer will not be good as a farmer in growing wheat, and vice versa, both the resources, vice versa. So there will be some loss in production. So the resource that is used, the farmer that is used in making computer will not be as good as the engineer who is making computer. So if you give them farmers, they will produce computers slowly but gradually, but that computer making will be not as fast as if you give them new engineers. So if the both are working in the field where they are efficient, this is very important. So then there will be more output produced. So rather than so if the farmer, if the engineer is working in a farm, so his output will be very low. His productivity will be very low because he is learning new things and he is not efficient in that, and he might not like to work there. But if you move him into the computer making, what will happen? He will work, and that field he will learn to make things, and he will be faster than the farming. So there will be more output. So hence the PPF is bent outward because of the principle of increasing. So principle of increasing cost means, let me write in simple words and then I will conclude it here. So principle of increasing cost means that when we increase the labor resource to the wheat, we might up with some labor who are not producing wheat. So what will happen there? Their cost of hiring is higher than their benefit of hiring. Means the benefit of hiring is how much wheat they will produce, and the cost of hiring is the salary that they are getting. So it is better to making computer rather than engineer to make wheat. So it will be cheaper. So it is principle of increasing cost. So this is the concept that is used to explain the the bendingness of the curve. So hopefully you understood in today's session how the production possibility frontier is outward bended, and the idea behind is that let me summarize it here. If the goods are homogeneous, means they are similar, then there is no gain from specialization. Then their PPF would be straight line. But if the goods are totally different in terms of skills required, then there is a gain to be achieved from specialization. So the PPF is bended outward. So it shows the gain that we achieve by specialization. So that what is an implication of this topic? So implication tells us that is this implicates the concept of degrees of different degree program which we see in our education. We are teaching in engineering, doctors, we are making business people, we are making accounting, economics, finance, marketing, management, aviation, social sciences. So the difference in the degree program is what they are actually making our labor specialized to a specific field, and that specialization is designed so that when you graduate, you are good in that field, so that your productivity is higher and you are specialized, so that we are actually get taking advantage from the outward bended uh, production possibility frontier. So how we can take advantage? First of all, we train our labor to be specialized. Then we try to fit them in their respective field so that they are most productive, which will help in moving towards the outward bended portion of PPF. So what will happen if we are on the outward bended portion of PPF? So the advantage is our output will be more than the corner case. So we will enjoy higher production and growth. So higher production and growth. So what will happen as a producer? If we are able to produce more, what will happen? We will be able to earn more profit, and this will be our income. Secondly, if we are able to produce more, what will happen? More product will go into the market, and it will solve the problem of scarcity. So now come back to the definition of economics. So economics said how managers are managing their scarce resources to produce maximum. So here what we are doing is he has analyzed his resources, that his labor are specialized and the products that they are producing are different. So what will happen? He is using the labor in their field where they are good at, so that he is on the outward bended portion of the PPF. The advantage that he's getting is he's producing more as compared to the other cases. So that more is because he learned from economics and he specialized his labor. He gave them training or he hired the skilled people that are coming from universities, so that there is more advantage to be expected. And since he is efficiently using them, so there is more output, more profit, more growth. So he is actually tackling the problem of scarcity. Hopefully
That's
yes, यहाँ पे किसी को क्वेश्चन हो, सो ये टॉपिक इतना था आज के लिए. हाँ जी, कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है.